Is emotional stress causing you to live less than your best life and health? Let's delve into today's 5 stressors and how to deal with them. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Ethel. I am a life and health coach. Welcome if this is your first time here. If you're returning, I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about emotional stress. Emotional stress is one of those things that is not very quantifiable. You cannot go to the doctor and have them measure it, but it's definitely there, and it can cause a lot of distress to our lives and our health. And so some symptoms of emotional stress could look like inability to sleep, inability to stay asleep, stress eating, just eating a lot more than your body needs, or under eating because you're stressed. Anxiety, depression, not inability to be creative and problem solve in your life, your daily life and work. It puts you in fight or flight mode, survival mode, which causes a lot of tensions in your body and in your relationships. It spikes your cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which keeps your body dysregulated. It can cause some inabilities to connect with your loved ones because you're emotionally stressed. You're in a state of survival. Some physical symptoms can be headaches, stomach aches, stomach ulcers, just all kinds of other psychological, physiological, just like relational, social, interpersonal problems that emotional stress can cause. Let's talk about some causes of emotional stress. One big major cause of emotional stress is from toxic negative thoughts about yourself. So these thoughts could be running in your subconscious. They could be related to your childhood programming. You might be aware of some of them. You might not be so aware of other ones of them. And the more you familiarize yourself with the toxic thoughts that run your life, the more you're able to work through them and get rid of them to make sure that you are building a positive relationship with yourself. It is going to be the most important relationship of your life, the relationship that you have with your own self, because words are powerful. Our thoughts are made out of words, and words affect our mental space, and then our actions, our emotions, and then our actions, and then the results that we get in our life. And so just making sure that we are using affirmations daily, just in the morning when you wake up, having the first thing, because sometimes in the morning cortisol levels can be very high depending on how you slept at night, and cortisol levels are related to stress. Maybe you had a bad dream or nightmares, or maybe you did not sleep so well, but you're not aware of that. So sometimes in the morning it's not, some people wake up super cheery, and then some people also wake up a little bit anxious. And so it's a good habit to incorporate affirmations into your morning and just speak to yourself kindly, speak the good thoughts, and you can pre-write these affirmations. You can post them in front of your mirror or on your bedside, so that when you wake up, you just have it right there and you can speak it to yourself. It's just kind of like a good morning to yourself, and yourself does so much for you. You guys are supposed to be like best friends. because it does foster health and wellness to have a positive relationship with yourself. So you're writing, you're speaking affirmations to yourself, and you're discussing these affirmations with others that you trust. So when you're talking about yourself to other people, you want to make sure that you're talking about yourself in the right ways, like in a positive way. Even if you are mentioning something that you do wrong or you do not so well, you're going to, trust yourself. You're going to say something in the line of, and I hope to turn that around into a better habit, so that you're just not downing on yourself in your discussions. Because if by yourself, you're telling yourself all these positive things, but then with other people, you tend to down on yourself. Yourself is still there when you're with other people listening to what you say about you. And that's going to bring you down and not foster just a healthy sense of self and happiness. So gratitude is another thing. Usually I would do like at least 5 to 10 things that I appreciate about my life or about myself, or about other people, the things, the people, surroundings, events, things. Just writing out that gratitude kind of puts you in control of your day. It puts you in a good mood. It really does. And it gives you a different perspective, where you're not looking at everything from a negative angle. You're kind of shifted your angle to looking at things from a positive angle, which kind of rolls into your day. And you can do this more times than just once in the morning if you need it, during the day. And then journaling your emotions. That's also one way to deal with toxic thoughts. And those, journaling your emotions maybe is not a super appropriate one for the morning. It's probably more appropriate for maybe bedtime or when you have free time in a safe place, like at home, where you can journal your day, journal what's going on with you, how you feel, what you want to happen in your different relationships, different parts of your life, and just like teasing that out. And journaling is very therapeutic. Just teasing that out with yourself, with God, if you're a believer, and just like leaning into being proactive and being in partnership with yourself to kind of regulate your emotions and be aware of them as well. So the second cause of emotional stress is toxic habits. So negative habits that are not serving your best self. They're not serving you, and you know it. Some you might not know, some you might discover from reading and learning and all the research we do to better ourselves. But some you are aware, and I think those are the ones that are probably low hanging fruits that you can tackle first, and then build momentum. Once you take those out of the way, it builds confidence and it builds momentum, and then you can jump into the other ones that maybe you read a book about and you're like, okay, I have to change that about my life, or I want to change that about my life. So the low-hanging fruits, eating habits, just the things that make you feel not so good about yourself. Maybe your communication with others, or how much you stand up for yourself in conversations, in relationships, at work. Maybe if you have some anger issues, how you're handling communication with other people when you're angry. Maybe these are all things that you might want to work on. And the key thing about negative habits is that how to get rid of them is not by focusing on them. It's more by replacing them with good habits. So you just focus on replacement. That's how to deal with not so good habits. And so you're going to think about what the thing is, what the habit is that you're trying to change, and then when is it occurring? When are you wanting to change it? And then where is it happening? And where do you want to practice the new habits, okay, the opposite of it? So for instance, maybe you find yourself maybe a little bit living a little bit of a sedentary lifestyle where you're not moving as much, and you want to do nature walks a little bit more. So you're going to, and nature walks are great for mental health and emotional, just like boosting your happiness and your joy. And so you decide, okay, that's what I'm going to do to make myself feel a little bit, like uplifted. And so you're going to do maybe nature walks is what you decide. You're going to think about when you're going to do it, so what time, and then where you're going to go. Because thinking through these things, although sometimes it might come naturally, it does not always come naturally. You might think in your head, yeah, I want to go on a walk or a hike, but then that's where it ends, right? So if you're able to follow it up with what you're doing, what exactly you're doing, and where you're doing it, and you Google directions to there, and then what time you're doing it, it increases your chances of actually doing that good habit because you have planned it out. Creativity is also one of the ways that you can deal with negative habits. So if you're in a habit of doing certain things that you do not want in your life, you want to go ahead and think, okay, what do I want to replace this with? Maybe I can replace it with art, with good music, with decorating, or woodworking. One of my clients actually picked up woodworking as like a creativity outlet. So you think about what creative outlet can you do that would just spark joy, because creativity sparks joy. That is going to affect your emotional health. So the third cause of emotional stress can be difficult or toxic relationships. Probably some of the biggest emotional distress causes for most people. Interactions with people can be difficult, and with looking at toxic relationships, one of the biggest lenses you can look at them or approach them is through the lenses of boundaries. So boundaries are basically value systems, likes and dislikes that make up a person, right? A self. So it's also demarcations, right? Demarcations that separate you from others. It's clear signs that set you apart from others. So for instance, our bodies, our faces, our just our image is a boundary. It says, this is me and that's you. That's a clear boundary. It's a physical boundary. And we have boundaries around our body and our value systems and what we will accept and what we will not accept. And then there are emotional type boundaries where that has to do with more abstract thoughts like this, value systems, likes, dislikes, and those are the kinds of things that relationships are focused on. And building solid relationships with people have to do with learning, right? Learning what those things are for those people. What do they like? What do they not like? And building a respectful, mutually respectful relationship with others. And so, as it pertains to emotional stress, where emotional stress comes in is when others are either unable to respect other people's emotional boundaries, or maybe sometimes even physical boundaries, or just are not aware of them, or just choose to be oblivious of them. How do we deal with emotional distress or stress that comes from relationships? Usually you want to assert your boundary that has been broken. Usually you feel upset or you feel emotionally stressed because there is something, a boundary of yours, a value system of yours, something you like or dislike, that's being disrespected, not honored by another person. And so assertion is really your first step. You're going to communicate your boundary for the first time, maybe to the other person. Sometimes I want to mention that depending on how far along you're in your journey with emotional healing and self development, you might not even know some of the boundaries that you have, except for the pain and the emotional stress that you feel. So you might even need to sit down and ask yourself, why do I feel the way I feel? What's going on? And then kind of deduce what exactly happened and why it made you feel the way you're feeling. And so now when you know exactly what is going on, then and only then, and sometimes you will know right away what's going on because it's pretty blatant, but sometimes it's not as easy to tell. So when you know, like politely and as lovingly as possible communicate it to the other party to say, you might not have known this, this is a boundary of mine that was crossed, and I am willing to forgive, but I'm definitely wanting to express that to you because it's important to me and to my emotional health. So you enforce your boundary, and the hard where it gets a little tricky is that some people might not respect that. They might still try to repeat the negative behavior that affects you and hurts you, and so you might need to move to a second stage of enforcing a boundary. So maybe I'm going to talk to you less, or I am not going to go into social situations with you, or not really, whatever you tell the person the boundary is. I'm not going to pick up your call because I don't feel safe with the way you treat me or the way you talk to me, or and we have talked about this. Okay, so that's enforcing your boundary. So the other person knows this is truly important to you. And the cool thing about that is, if it's a true friend, somebody that values you and cares about you, they will definitely try to be on a different path with assertion, with just telling them the boundary. Now, some people might push back, sometimes a second level boundary comes with maybe family members who feel entitled to relationships with you, and so might not want to respect your boundary right off the bat. And so you might have to enforce certain boundaries with certain tangible actions, so they know there is something that changes in our relationship when I don't feel respected or heard, because I have prior informed you about how this causes me emotional stress. And so then the last resort, if someone will not respect you, will not hear you, and will not stop denigrating you, or just treating you with disrespect is distancing yourself, no matter who they are, because this is so important to living a stress-free life and having good health. It really affects your well-being and your physical health. People have come out of very toxic relationships with physical diseases. And so it is very important that we are, protecting ourselves and communicating our boundaries efficiently and effectively, lovingly, and, without anger, so that we can be heard. But it becomes pretty clear when someone is unwilling to respect your boundary that you might need to use the last step, which is distance, for them to know, the terms of agreement for us to be in relationship was not really honored. And so we cannot continue this relationship, or we really can't talk as often. We probably just will have to be acquaintances, or just be a little bit distant, for both of our health. Because what affects you actually affects the other person too, because if it affects your emotions, that's going to come out in the relationship, and the other person is going to feel it too, and it won't be positive. So boundaries actually work for both parties, even if initially it feels like it's not positive for both parties. So the fourth cause of emotional distress could be environmental. Okay, so it could be what's going on in the world. So you're watching the news, or a coworker at work is causing you some emotional distress, or just a fear related emotional distress, where you fear just environmental things that could happen. And one technique that helps calm you in the moment while something is happening, maybe you're witnessing an accident, or a very traumatic accident, and that's causing you emotional distress, or just environmental things, just daily environmental things that happen. One wonderful technique is called the 5-5-7 breathing method, and it is where you breathe in for 5, you hold it in for 5, and then you breathe out slowly for 7 seconds. And you repeat that at least 10 times. So you breathe in for 5, hold it for 5, and then breathe out for 7 seconds very slowly. And do that until your body calms. So what this breathing technique does is that it sends a signal to your brain that you are not being chased by a lion, that you're okay, basically, that you're safe. And it tells your brain to kind of regulate your nervous system and to bring you back into a place of calm, which is the space where we digest food better, is a place where our creativity is sparked. We can think better, we can problem solve better when we're calm. Under high stress, some people can problem solve, but our best sort of long-term deep work and creativity and focus comes when we are in a calm state. The fifth and not the least cause of emotional stress is the fear of the unknown. So this could be fear of the future, fear of a situation, an interview, fear of, maybe a date dumping you, or just anything that is in the future that you kind of are anxious about. And that can cause some emotional stress where you can't focus on things right now, or you just get just, you know, a little bit scatterbrained. You can feel it in your body. So with that, we're going to discuss a few more techniques or things you can do to help calm those fears. So you could try journaling those fears and just look at them and see which ones are rational and the ones that are irrational. And then the ones that are rational, kind of think about, how can I make sure that these things don't happen in the future? Some very practical things you can do when you're dealing with emotional distress is to take showers. Warm showers can really be calming for your nervous system. Basically, the goal is to calm your nervous system and to put yourself back into calm mode, so you can think creatively, so you can be in a state of your best mind and your best emotions, right? And from that state, even create joy. Hot showers are great. Baths, you know, candlelight, low lights, just soft music, soft, beautiful music, imagery, using imagery, just sometimes some videos will actually combine imagery and music, beautiful music, calming music together, and that can be really calming and just very therapeutic. And also meditation. You could also use meditation where you just close your eyes and go to your happy place and you imagine yourself, you know, doing the things that you love. And you could also use meditating on positive things instead of maybe sometimes the loops of negativity about the future, or, you know, what could happen. I could get fired, or, you know, you might not. You know, trying that maybe I won't get fired. You know, what if I don't get fired? Just looking at the mirror of your fears, or the mirror, the opposite of what's causing you the emotional distress. And so, yeah, positive things in your life and just meditating on those and finding ways to create more and more joy in your life. That brings us to the end of our video today. This was so much fun to just talk about a little bit of a heavy topic, emotional stress. We all experience it. I hope these tips help. Comment in the comment section about anything that you do that helps you. And if you are interested in coaching, talking to me, getting some positive mindset shifts happening in your life, just processing some emotional emotional topics in your life, reach out to me. I am a life and health coach, and I am passionate about helping people connect with themselves, their best self, and create a life and health that they love. Until next time, see ya.